jobs and education. And these are our 4 demands, because around these, we know we could build a better world. 4 demands, and if anyone's got a spare fiver, please, will you look on the screen? There's a text number, 80777. If you can chip in a fiver, we can help make this a growing, strong opposition and help local groups all around the country to build a movement that will topple this government and get us back to more socially balanced values and a different way of working together, a better future for us all. Now, I'm just going to shut up now. I'm going to introduce you to my fellow co-chair, Steve Turner. Steve, take it away.
Okay. Thanks very much, Romain. And look, can I, following on from Romain, really welcome all of you to Trafalgar Square here in the centre of London. Trafalgar Square that's been the centre of a protest movement for over a century. Whether that's suffragettes to steelworkers today, whether it's been the poll tax demonstrations or CND, or of course the fantastic students' movement demonstrations that have taken place in this square over the years. And secondly, can I thank all of you? Can I thank each and every one of you, not just for being here today, but for everything that you do. For everything you do, standing up and fighting back at work, in the workplaces and the industries that you're defending so rigorously, in your communities and in the movement to fight the obscenities of austerity politics. Because right now we're standing up against the most ideological, right-wing, vicious government that we've seen in over a century. And it's a government, colleagues, that's now in crisis. It's a government now that's vulnerable. It's vulnerable from the inside as it fractures and fragments. And of course it's vulnerable from the outside to collapse. And that's our challenge. That's the challenge of this movement. That's the challenge of our unions. It's our duty. It's our responsibility to build the organisation and the power that can end this war of workers. Colleagues, today we're demanding 4 things. It could have been 24 things, but it's 4 things. It's a health service that's owned and controlled and operated by the people, for the people. It's an end to the privatisation and the attacks on a loyal, world-class workforce of doctors and nurses, and the end to the privatisation for profit from ill health. And colleagues, it's about decent jobs, not shit jobs, not 0 hours jobs, not minimum wage jobs, but jobs that are secure, that are well paid, that are safe, that have got dignity, that are union jobs. And colleagues, I want to give a special shout out. I want to give a shout out to our members here from Sports Direct and to McDonald's and the steel industry. Our steel members are here marching with us today because they're organising and they're winning where for years it was felt too difficult to organise. And of course it's about homes. It's about homes for the next generation and for all of us, a right to a safe and secure home for all. It's about rent controls and it's about people putting back to work in one of the most ambitious programmes for council house building that we've seen since the 1950s. And finally it's about education and an end to the ideological academisation of our schools. The increasing class sizes, the alienisation of our teachers and assistants, the lower morale and relentless pay cuts that we've seen across education and our public services more generally. Comrades, there are many more things that we're fighting for. Whatever it is you're here demanding, we need to unite and fight, because we have an opportunity. We need to make that into a reality. The Tories are in crisis. They're torn apart by Europe. We've seen the resignation, for whatever reason. I never believed the bullshit he came out with, of Iain Duncan Smith. The architect of universal credit, the bedroom tax, sanctions on some of the poorest in society, has now found an art. The attacks on our unions, on social and civil society, and of course, tax avoidance and Dodgy Dave's personal involvement in that. So, colleagues, that's our challenge. That's the challenge of our movement. So, are we up for it? Are we up for it, comrades? I give you Sam Fairbairn, the National Secretary of the People's Assembly.
Thanks very much, Steve. And what an incredible day it is today. When we first decided to organise this demonstration today, we had absolutely no idea how spectacularly this government would fail on all 4 of our key demands. They've thrown our NHS into crisis. They've picked a fight with the junior doctors and the student nurses. They've decided to attack our education, forcing all schools to become academies. They've attacked our teachers. They've attacked our parents and our children. They've refused to deal with the steel crisis. They've refused to protect tens of thousands of people's jobs and our communities that rely on them. They've done nothing to address the housing crisis, the growing housing crisis taking place up and down the country. And you know what? It's a choice. This government could choose to lift the NHS out of crisis. They could choose to provide decent education for every single one of us. They could choose to save every job, to make sure our wages are decent enough so that we can live. They could choose to build enough houses for us all to live in. Because if a government can bail out banks in a matter of days, then you can provide health, homes, jobs and education for everybody. That's why we're here today. But instead of doing that, this government has been complicit in squirreling away money in tax havens. They're stealing money from the majority of us, while at the same time telling us that we're all in it together. That's why we're saying today, Cameron, you must go. Cameron must go now. And you know what? You can take the rest of the Tory thieves with you. Today represents a growing movement. It represents every section of society united against what this government's trying to do, from the junior doctors, the student nurses, the steel workers, students, pensioners and more. This is the kind of society that I want to live in, where everyone is working together in the interests of the majority. That's what today represents, and today gives me hope and inspiration that we can have a real impact and kick this government out. Because united we are unstoppable, and they know it. That's why we're not going to stop today. We're going to get out, we're going to support the junior doctors' strikes. We're going to support the teachers' strikes when they decide to strike. It's also why we're going to be organising a major convoy involving thousands of cars, lorries and minibuses and coaches to Calais to show solidarity with the refugees. We will not stop until this government is kicked out of office. And we're sure that they'll never get to number 10 again. Solidarity.
Sam Fairbairn, Secretary of People's Assembly. And now I'm really